The day has come, and it happened after a win. Are you really surprised? The Brewers are officially eliminated from postseason contention. Tough pill to swallow. Let's try to talk it out next.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'd say good morning, but you and I know you're not really having a great morning. I'm Dominic Cotroneo, once again doing a hotel version of the Locked On Brewers podcast, the last one of the year, as I'm on the road on assignment, as you may have heard last night, in Houston, getting ready for Phillies Astros tonight. Was really hoping to see the panic set into the eyes of the Phillies this week, with the Brewers going 2-0 and the Phillies going 0-2, but nonetheless, Aaron Nola made sure to thwart that thought real quick in yesterday's game. I'm the statistician and the post-game host for Bally Sports Wisconsin and for WTMJ, and it's been a weird 10 days or so, because the Brewers, you felt like they were in it. They were right in the thick of it. Heck, just a few days ago, they were a half game back, and now, just 5 days later, they're out. It happened so fast. Very disappointing year, to say the least, but judging from the reaction in the clubhouse, they're feeling it even more than you are. And if you haven't already, go check out all of the reporting contingent. Adam McCalvey, Kurt Hogue, they were all down there. Todd Rosiak, they were all down there with Christian Yelich. And Yelich talked for like 10, 15 minutes. And the videos are posted on Twitter. You need to hear it, because it was very poignant. It was very truthful. And it was very direct. I think Christian understands his role, that he's not really a vocal, out there leader, despite obviously his paycheck. But to be the guy that, and to his credit, every single time the Brewers have had a tough loss or need a quote or something like that, Yelich has been the guy. And that's not easy to do. I give my salute to that for Christian Yelich, despite having a very subpar season by his standards, and he said so. He agrees so. So I really encourage folks to click on that link and watch the video of Yelich explaining the season. The big thing that stuck to me is his quote about the lack of an identity. And Brandon Woodruff talked about this as well, but that you could see in 2021 the identity of the team, the comeback team, right? There was something about that team. You knew what they could do. They were never out of a game. 2020 was weird, but they were grinders. They were getting a lot out of their team. And it was a weird year for everybody, but they stuck with it, right? They had good pitching, and Corbin Burns was starting to come into his own. Brandon Woodruff coming into his own. You could see the pieces forming together, right? 2019, they got going in September. Craig Timber, back-to-back years, right? They also felt like they were never out of a game. But I think Yelly nailed it on the head. There was no identity to this team. Zero. And one night you'd see home runs. Another night you'd see, we go 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Or another night where you go, oh my goodness, we got 14 strikeouts and we didn't score a run. It's like that. Those are the kind of days, and the team is just, you didn't know what you were going to get. And it's not even a Jekyll and Hyde situation. It's truly a randomized roll of the dice of, which Brewers are showing up today. There was no identity. Yes, they had a lot of comeback wins, but some of those should have never even been comeback wins, right? Between the struggles of the middle relief, the lack of adding run support, there are a lot of things that just never clicked for the Brewers. And Craig Counsell said it, that one step forward, one step back. That's how it felt all season, and especially in the last 2 weeks. I think that's a perfect example of what's gone wrong for the Brewers here down the stretch. And Brandon Woodruff revealing that, all the stuff with the ping pong table and the pop a shot, he wished he could have done that the whole season. And don't take that the wrong way. Understand that that's meant to get your mind off of baseball, off of the losing streak, or off of playing under what you're supposed to be performing as, right? It's not meant to just sit there and play ping pong all night. And Christian Yelich said the same thing. It's like, we don't roll up an hour before the game and just sit here. No, we're together 24/7 just about. You can't be thinking about baseball 24/7 in your life. I pretty much think about baseball 24/7 in my life, and I can't do it, right? So imagine playing baseball at the highest level. I'm not making excuses. I'm not hedging bets or anything here. I'm just explaining what we heard in the clubhouse yesterday. Very, weird feeling, right? You win on an epic walk-off, come from behind, and if you haven't already told, we're not really going to talk about the walk-off. We're not really talking about the game in today's pod. The Brewers, it was a weird year. And Christian was asked about the departures, meaning Lorenzo Cain and Josh Hader. And I just want to reread the quote. I tweeted this yesterday. It kind of went around Brewers Twitter, and people were complaining about it, and some people were supporting it. But you take your own thoughts on this. Here's my thought. Here, from Lorenzo Cain, remember this story was published on September 5th from Adam McCalvey on MLB.com, talking to Lorenzo Cain as he approaches official retirement. This was asking him about the Brewers' slide they were in at the end of August and what they can do to get back on track. Here's Lorenzo Cain. Quote, I definitely think the boys can turn it around. But yeah, when you go through rough times, you need certain guys to keep guys going. I think that's one of the reasons it's been a struggle to get guys out of the funk. When you get rid of certain guys, when you start messing with the chemistry of the clubhouse, it affects everybody. It's happening right now. Hopefully they can turn it around because you see it's been weird. Something's off for sure. And the quotes from the game yesterday just confirm it. It was always off. For those final 45, 50 games, something was off. Not just Cain, Hader, obviously. And Yelich even said so. It was like, look, that's the easy thing to say. They started losing because of Yelich and because of Hader and because of the guys that were no longer on the team. But Yelich took ownership of it. We didn't play well. I didn't play well. We needed to play better, and we should have been a playoff team. Craig Counsell thought they were a playoff team. I know the front office thought they were a playoff team. You thought they were a playoff. I thought they were a playoff team. I thought they were a pennant contender. Vinny thought they were going to win 100 games, right? Remember that preseason pod? That has aged terribly. The thing, and I'm not going to sit here and say you're not allowed to be frustrated. Hell yeah. Be angry. You can be mad, but be reasonable. 4 straight postseasons is nice. Would have been better to have 5 straight. It is the 5th straight full season, excluding 2020 here, 5th straight full season that the Brewers will finish above 500, furthering a team record. It's not bad. It's something, right? And you're grasping at straws. I mean, heck, there's still a chance the Brewers end up with the same record as the Phillies. They both finish with 87 wins. You'd take that. What if they go 3-0 here down the stretch? You'll feel a lot better. That means they're going to beat Gallen. They're going to beat Kelly. You feel a little better. But this story of this team, you can point to the offense, but they say, oh, what about the middle relief? Oh, what about all the injuries? The whole season had something different. And there was something off, and there's something odd. And the Brewers couldn't solve it, and it's the reason why they're out of the postseason. That's a weird first segment. But I did leave an open-ended question on Twitter last night. I'm going to get to a lot of these questions. What's on your wish list? What do the Brewers need to do? What do you look forward to in 2023? It's a crazy sentence to say 2023. That's not a real year. What? That's crazy. Before we talk about the future and what's to come for the Brew Crew, put your money where your mouth is. Go to betonline.net, your number one source for everything college football and football betting info this season. They've also got baseball playoff stuff. Now that the field is set, the Phillies are the last team in. All 12 teams, or all 14 teams, I beg your pardon, they're in. We're ready to go. Expanded playoffs. Now, trying to figure out the seeding still. That'll come down to the wire. The Blue Jays have clinched the 1 seed. You can maybe bet on them at BetOnline. You can find all the latest player developments, matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles, and even analysis on every single game you can find. As always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information, with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores of every single sport out there. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Let's just real quick run through. I know I've done this a few pods already, but let's just run through the definite departures. Colton Wong departing. Brewers are not going to pick up that $10 million option. Omar Narvaez, free agent to be. Brewers could re-sign him. TBD on that. Andrew McCutchen, it was a 1-year deal. There was no option. There's nothing else attached to it. So he's probably gone. They got to figure out what they're doing with Jace Peterson. He's a free agent to be. They also got to figure out what they're doing with Trevor Gott, Brad Boxberger, free agents to be. The Brewers have to figure out some stuff for their roster next year. But let's talk about the returners, at least on paper right now. Final year of arbitration for Hunter Renfroe. Second year of arbitration for Tellez and Adames. Second year of arbitration for Burns and Woodruff. You look at Devin Williams in his second year of arbitration. Luis Urias in his second year as a Super 2. So he's got 4 years of arbitration, not just 3. So this is his second of 4 years for Luis Urias. Then you look at Victor Caratini will be back on another final year. You've got Tyrone Taylor obviously still under team control. Garrett Mitchell well under team control. So there are still some pieces. But as I roll through the mentions here on Locked On Brewers, number one thing is just batting average. And I think that's a great call. And I had a caller about this last night on the postgame show. What do the Brewers got to do to acquire somebody that can just hit, maybe hit 260, 280 with just a bunch of singles? What if I told you they may have 2 of those guys in their organization right now? Sal Frelick and Esteury Ruiz. So things get really interesting of what are you going to do with Tyrone Taylor? You might have too many outfielders right now. And I know we said that coming out of camp in 2021, but it's especially true right now because you want to get playing time for these guys. Granted, Frelick does not have any urgency to be placed on the 40-man roster this offseason. The only guy that is immediately pressing that you need to get on the 40-man roster this offseason is Bryce Terang because he's Rule 5 eligible coming up. And I think Bryce Terang is going to be the starting second baseman for the Brewers next season. Then Luis Urias will be the starting third baseman unless they decide to go make a trade. What do you do with Tyrone? He's been a starter for a good chunk of the last 2 years. A ton of starts this year. Career high 117 games this year. He's got a total of 210 games over the last 2 seasons. His slash line reads 237, 299 on base, 448 slugging, and a 747 OPS, which is slightly above league average. A 105 OPS plus. So 5 points better than league average. He got some pop. He's got 29 homers in his last 660 or so plate appearances. That's over the course of 210 games, but there's a lot of pinch hits in there too. You got so many center field types. I wonder what you do with him. Do you trade him? Do you figure out what to do? I mean, for his career, he's about this guy. A 240 average, 750-ish OPS, which isn't bad. But you need a little more out of center field. Or maybe, because he's not the guy that's going to get a high batting average and get on base at a high clip, do you give the reins to Ruiz or Frelick or Mitchell? That's a big question lurking for this offseason. Another one looking for is the bullpen. What do you do with the bullpen? Is Devin Williams going to be the closer? I think he's going to be the closer. I talked about this on the postgame show yesterday too. It's like, look, Josh Hader got a chance to dip his toe in the water, be that swing man, be that multi-inning guy in 17 and 18. Then he took over in 19 and really ran away with the job. Devin Williams is like, here you go. You're the closer now. I think you need a little bit of a breather to understand what's happening, right? I'm really excited to see Devin Williams as a closer next year, having a whole offseason to understand I'm the man now. I'm the man at the back end of this bullpen. I still believe in Devin Williams at the back end of the bullpen, but when it comes to the rest of that bullpen, Matt Bush is going to be back. I don't care what any of y'all say. I think he can really work out for the Brewers next season. Maybe not in the 8th inning, but he's somebody the Brewers can fix up. They fixed up Hobie Milner. They fixed up Trevor Gott. They've done this before. Now they got a whole offseason with him. They got 2 years of team control for Matt Bush. He's going to be back. I would love to re-sign Trevor Gott. If you can only pick Gott or Boxberger, I'm picking Gott. I think there's just more in the tank there than Boxberger. Not that Brad Boxberger has done anything poorly. It's just I think he's just out of gas. I think he's near the end of his career. He's pitched really well these last couple of seasons, but you'd rather be a year early on a reliever than a year too late. So I think you let Brad Boxberger walk, but then the rest of the bullpen kind of gets a little lack of clarity. Is Jake Cousins going to be healthy? Is Justin Topa going to be healthy? Is Milner going to be used in the same fireman role? What about the guys like Suter and Perdomo? Don't forget about Gustave. There are a lot of directions they can go. Is Ashby going to be a swingman? Strzelecki? There is still some depth in that bullpen. It's just different names now than what we've seen in years past. There is roles to be figured out, and maybe it'll be more of a by-committee bullpen next season. Another on the wish list is an impact bat, probably at third base. Looking forward to the speed that's coming and less reliant on home runs. I think that's a big circle, too. Being less reliant on home runs. That's an overall thing, right? The Brewers can be successful in the National League without being in second place in home runs hit. That's not how this roster was initially built. This roster was built on run prevention, being a great pitching staff. And, let's be real, the pitching staff is back. Burns, Peralta, Woodruff, Ashby, Lauer. Then you got to figure out what you're doing with Hauser. What are you going to do with the guys like Ethan Small, Robert Gasser, and AAA? It's a pretty good looking lineup right now, or at least of starting pitchers. Maybe you go to a 6-man rotation. I had this thought as I was watching Quick Pitch here tonight. They showed a graphic on Zach Greinke. What if you bring back Zach Greinke? Be an innings eater. 1-year deal. Why not? He's toward the end of his career. Like a Brett Anderson type move. Vinny mentioned that on the post-game show yesterday. Not against that. Probably won't happen, but just want to throw that out there into existence. Just bring back Zach Greinke. Why not? What do you have to lose? You've got to build, you're not putting any reliance on him to be a stopper or anything like that. You've got 3 stoppers. You've got 3 great arms. Greinke can have a lot of pressure off on him and pitch very well and be Zach Greinke. And with third base, it's not a very deep market. I mean, Arenado's obviously going to stay in St. Louis. Rendon in Anaheim. You're going to have to figure out, maybe get creative in the minor leagues or be willing to take on some salary. But that leads me to my last point here of this segment. My number one thing on the wish list. This was said a lot in the mentions. My number one thing on the wish list, you got to extend Woodruff or Burns, if we're being honest. But knowing how the Brewers operate, you're only going to probably extend one. Do it. Do it now. And here's why. You do it now, heading into their second year of arbitration, whoever you choose. You look at that Castillo deal, and that's really going to be interesting for the Brewers. Because what Luis Castillo got for his extension from the Mariners, him and Brandon Woodruff are the same age. Granted, Castillo's been starting a little bit longer. But he just signed, to a huge extension, made it official. He's going to make $7.3 million this year, and over the life of the deal, it's going to be about $22 million a year. Remember, Yelich is making $26 a year. So where's the money going to come from? Hopefully from X-Golf. But I think the bidding starts there for Brandon Woodruff. $20 million a year. Can you get him to sign a 6-year, $20 million deal? Can you afford that? And are you, the fans, going to buy it if the Brewers turn around and say, as many bites out of the apple and yada, yada, small market blues, yada, yada. Like, no. You got to hold the feet to the fire on this one, in my opinion. You got to keep one of these incredible pitchers on this roster. We know it's going to be really tough to keep both. And the Brewers' budget, it's not the Yankees' budget. I will give them that. And it's always easy to spend somebody else's money. I really, really want to see Brandon Woodruff or Corbin Burns get signed to an extension this offseason because it does 2 things. Number one, it makes it a commitment to your team and to your players saying we are ready to win and we believe in this guy. And number 2, it sends a message to the rest of the league and to the rest of the free agents saying, wait a minute, the Brewers just committed all that money to Brandon Woodruff or Corbin Burns? They're in it. They want to win. They want to win while they have them. Maybe I should go there. Man, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Might as well join them. See what I'm saying? I mean, that was the feeling when the Brewers signed Christian Yelich. Or, to use a basketball analogy, remember all the rumors of Giannis, like, he's going to go to the Lakers, look out. Then he signs a Supermax in the middle of the year, saying, no, I'm staying in Milwaukee. And they were able to make trades to get Drew Holiday and, blink, and boom, they've won a title. Maybe something like that happens for the Brewers if they can sign one of these guys and keep them here. I'd be all for it. I think that's number one on my wish list. I want to wrap up this show real brief with some stuff that I want to talk about and an update on the schedule this week. So real quick, be right back. A reminder, I'm in Houston. That's why I'm whispering. It's weird. I don't want to wake up my neighbors. It's the middle of the night. I had to do my post game and all my other obligations on that. So real quick here, no show tomorrow. Today's game is going to be kind of a moot point, but we won't have a podcast tomorrow morning because I am here with TBS in Houston. But I just wanted to, real quick, I'm going to remind folks of this in Wednesdays after the pod on Thursday morning that you'll hear after Wednesday's finale. This is my last week with Locked On Brewers. It's been amazing, and I want to thank everybody who's tuned in, tweeted, listened. My boss, Jeff Carr, with the Locked On Network. It's been cool. It's been really, really cool. And I'll save like a bigger, heartfelt goodbye for Thursday morning's pod. But my plan all along was, let's see through the season. And if you know how it went this past winter, if you were listening during the lockout, you know that this was Vinny's pod, and then he kind of handed it to me and said, you take it. And I was like, okay. And it's really turned out great. I didn't want to take it initially, to be completely honest, but it turned out to be the best thing that I could have done. So I want to thank everybody who's tuned in all season long, bearing with me on these travels and these whispering pods, in my hotel room. But it's been great. But we'll have the sappy stuff coming on Thursday as we wrap up the season officially in that one. But just wanted to make everybody aware of it, that these will be the last couple of pods for me this week here on Locked On Brewers. Now that the Brewers are officially eliminated from postseason play, we're just going to make it a clean break heading into the offseason when that day comes. But today, there's a game today, 6:40, first pitch. Zach Gallen, one more start for him against the Brew Crew. Eric Lauer will get the start tonight. And then tomorrow, it looks like it'll still be Corbin Burns, 1 inning shy of 200 innings. He's trying to chase down Carlos Rodon, and it's unclear if Carlos Rodon is going to pitch today. There's some agency drama and health issues and things of that nature. Not issues, I should say, an innings limit for Carlos Rodon, but it could be easier tomorrow for Corbin Burns to not only get 200 innings, but also to take the strikeout crown in the National League. So that's something to look forward to, with Merrill Kelly starting opposite of him. What do I want to see in these last two games? I want to see a loose team. I want to see a team that's liberated, that's fun, that's easy. They don't have to go 2-0. I'd like them to. Don't get me wrong. I know you would too, but I want to see a team that can finally take that piano off their back that's been suffocating them the last month and a half and say, look, you're out. We get it. It was a really, really, really weird second half. You're out of the playoffs. Just go play ball. I just want to see a loose team, right? And Brent Suter, man, kudos to you, dude, because he tried so hard to keep this team together. Him and Willie Adames. And there are other guys too, I'm sure, but those two guys especially. And as we alluded to with Brandon Woodruff talking about the ping pong table and the Papa shot, that's all Brent Suter. Trying to keep this team together. Understanding that with Kane gone and Hader gone, two major clubhouse presences in the Brewers locker room, that suddenly you got to generate your own energy, generate your own mojo. Where's it going to come from? Brent Suter took it upon himself to try to keep this team together, keep them focused, while also keeping them not focused on just baseball 24/7. It's a stressful game. It's a hard game. There's no, participation trophy for not making the postseason. It's why you pop champagne, as Christian Yelich said, every time you make it in, because it's hard to do. It's 162 games. A lot can happen in 162 games. Like we saw in 50 games. It's another further reason that 2020 just doesn't sit well with me, right? 60 games doesn't tell you anything, right? Just like 50 games this year didn't tell you anything. It's been a weird year, but I just want to see the Brewers have some fun, play loose, and hopefully you will be at the ballpark as well, cheering them on. Not less about the game. Hey, Hunter Renfroe had a home run and got the walk-off. That was fun, but today's episode didn't call for a game recap. The Brewers, out of their streak's over. It's weird to say. 4 straight postseasons, the best run in franchise history. Well, 2023, guess we'll just have to start a new one. Thank you for listening. Again, no episode coming tomorrow. We'll be back Thursday morning and get ready to say goodbye here on the Locked On Network for myself and give you an update on what my plans are this offseason and going into 2023. See you at the ballpark tonight in Houston, that is. I'll be back tomorrow, though, for the regular season finale. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.